What's it mean to live authentically? There's a lot of buzz around that. People seem to think it means a lot of different things, like always saying exactly how you feel. And even if someone's upset about it, it's like, I'm just speaking my authentic truth. People almost use it as a way to absolve themselves of responsibility sometimes. Um, that's not how I define authentic living. That's not how I define authenticity and living with authenticity. Uh, Basically, in our society today, there's almost like a default path, right? It's almost like there's a road, right? That's like already kind of paved for you in a lot of big ways. And of course, depending on your culture, depending on maybe your race, your upbringing, where you, all of these things, yeah, they're going to change where this exactly fits for you. But overall, there are some general pathways and defaults that we have just by like being a human being in today's society, uh, by our gender, by our sexuality, by our preferences, by our life path, right? What are you going to do? You're going to, go to school, go to college, get a job, have a family, right? Have kids, get married, right? Buy a house. Like these are a lot of just like typical default things that maybe most people do, maybe. But the thing is, when you're living authentically, it means that you don't take any of those things for granted. This is basically a journey of self-discovery. Self-discovery is when you're basically asking yourself at each one of those junctions, at different points in your life, you're saying, what inside of me feels most true in this moment? Is it to date this guy, let's say that my parents like, even though I don't really like him? Is it to be a doctor because that's what my parents want? Is it to like the opposite sex because that's what I'm supposed to do? Is it to have kids because that's what I'm supposed? All of these things. It's having a moment with yourself to really ask yourself, is this what I want to do, or is this just what a lot of other people are doing, or what a lot of other people want me to do? So I feel like I should do it, and I'm afraid of if I don't, what might happen. Um, and the journey of living authentically is answering each of those questions for yourself. Now, I think some people might also get it twisted to think that living authentically means that you're deliberately not choosing the default road in every chance that you can. And that's not the case. That's just being a rebel, right? Which in a way is being just as affected by the system as you're trying not to be, because whatever the system says, you're doing the opposite, versus the path of authenticity and self-discovery, where you're honestly asking yourself at each turn where you want to go. And if that is the default path, that's okay. Cool. Awesome. But you know that you made that choice. It wasn't made for you. It wasn't just a default that you fell into because you never really took the time to ask yourself, what do I really want here? So that's really the journey, right? And self-discovery is the journey of doing a lot of that inner work, asking ourselves a lot of those questions, going in with a lot of curiosity and open-mindedness and a willingness to discover, a willingness to try and fail, a willingness to explore and realize, ooh, I really don't like that. You have to go through a lot of those in order to find what you really do like. And it's about being patient with yourself in that process. That's part of that journey. And also like learning how to tune in, right? Because you're going to get a lot of noise from outside of you. And it's learning how to tune in. And that's a journey and it's a skill, right? It's a skill that we can develop and hone and exercise and strengthen just like any other skill or exercise that we can do in the gym. We can like work on this muscle, isolate it, do some exercises that are challenging, and we get better. Same way with self-discovery, right? We can get in a habit of asking ourselves these difficult questions, getting in a habit of this sort of self-reflection so that when we ask ourselves these questions, it's not normally huge turns that we need to make. In other words, it's almost like, you know, if we're driving along a road and every couple minutes I'm looking at my GPS to make sure I'm going the right way. Cool, cool, cool. And if I make a wrong turn, it's probably not a big deal. It's 2 minutes to get back on track. The problem is some people maybe look at the GPS once and then not for a long time. And then when they look again, uh, ooh, they're way off track. How did that happen? Right. And this is kind of the equivalent of a midlife crisis, right? As somebody who has gone a long time without really asking themselves, what do I want? What's really making me happy? Not what's supposed to make me happy, but what really feels good for me. And it might be weird and quirky and awesome, right? And none of us is born with a manual with those answers, right? So we have to discover it for ourselves. I thought the six-figure job was going to make me happy. I thought being in a relationship and owning a house and a dog and all of those things. And uh, turns out it didn't do it for me, right? And it took me some time to learn that. And lucky for me, right? Like the pain really prompted me to take a look at my habits regarding how often I'm looking at that GPS, how often I'm asking myself that question. And then over time, you get to where you don't have to consciously look at it. You kind of get a sense of like what feels like the right direction. So you become more in tune with yourself. Your intuition is a little more alive and you're attuned to it. Anyway, this is like all the cool stuff that happens. This is the type of work that I take people on all the time at any journey that they're on, where they're rediscovering themselves or maybe discovering themselves for the first time, whether it's in a relationship or maybe they're just coming out of a relationship. Maybe there was a big life transition. They were in school forever and now they're not. And it's like, well, what am I doing? Maybe they were in a career and now they're switching, right? That's a big transition. Moving is a huge transition, right? Like, who am I now in this new place, in this new community, right? Um, I'm working with a woman right now who's, well, she's trying to retire, but she can't seem to keep herself accountable to it because work keeps being like the default answer, right? Of what to do in her time is to just do work. But really, what we're doing is start trying to intentionally create some space where she's not working, where we can figure out what makes you come alive, right? And it takes some questions. You got to be patient with yourself to be able to learn a lot of what doesn't do it. And that's still a win. That's still a success because you have to learn a lot of what you don't want to get an idea of what you do want. And normally, in every answer that you realize what you really don't enjoy, there's an answer in that for how the opposite is probably something you enjoy. So, anyway, subscribe if you like this sort of content, if you want to stay up to date with me. And I also have a newsletter, links in the description.